Do Hasidic people hate dogs?
No.
No? What's your
They are
take?
afraid. And let me
Uh-huh.
explain to you. You can see there is a phobia that even in the big world is known as a phobia against dogs, especially dogs. Why? Because dogs are much more interactive with people and they can jump into you when they want to play. And if you don't know their nature, you can look at it as an attack. You're going to start running away, and dog is going to look at it. You want to play with him, he's going to run after you, and then he gets sometimes worked up, and then he can attack, of course, if you don't know how to deal with him. So people that are not used to animals in general, especially with dogs, they are afraid. Let's go in Hindu in India. There are many, many groups are afraid of dogs, really afraid of dogs. Now, a dog in the Hasidic, in the Orthodox world, there was many people that had dogs. Even Jacob, our
Patriarch.
ancestor,
The patriarch.
yeah, had dogs. And the Bible is telling the story that he sent presents to his brother Esau, like a lot of sheep and cattle, whatever. He also sent dogs because he had dogs. Now, the reason why Hasidic people didn't have dogs is there is in the Talmud a saying that if you don't need to have a dog, don't have it, because a dog is not a kosher, not a as a non-kosher animal, and a lot of people that want to show off had a dog. It was like a non-Jewish thing. But I personally know a guy that lived in Belgium, in Antwerp, a Belgian Chassid. His name was Reitzer, and he lived out of town. He had a farm, and because he had a farm, he needed to have a dog, and he had dogs. And there's people that have service dogs, and of course, the reason why we are not comfortable with dogs is because we don't know him. And let me tell you, I remember myself, I had a neighbor in Belgium that he had a dog. And we always was so afraid. And he was teaching us you not have to be afraid. But there is even a pasuk, is even a slogan that we say quietly when we see a dog, to say that Paro in Egypt trained his dogs to bark when the slaves are trying to run away, like an alarm system, like a radar, the old motion detector from the old times. And in the Bible, they say there was a miracle that even though the Jews left Egypt, usually the dogs had to bark, they didn't bark at all. So this slogan we say when we walk through a dog, he shouldn't bark on us. Now, I have actually a sister. She has a dog. She lives in Amman. She's more open-minded, and she has a dog, baby, like a small puppy.
Oh.
And the first few times, even though I'm very open to animals and I like animals, I was very afraid to walk in our house. But I'm a guy that likes to work on myself and test stuff. So I looked around, and let me add another thing before we go back to my sister. There's another reason why people are so afraid of dogs. The Nazis used dogs to control the Jews, to kill Jews. And they used mostly the German Shepherd to do that job. And we was growing up in families where my grandfather saw a gate, like the gate, electric gate or wired gate. When he saw a gate, he crossed the street to the other side. He was afraid because it bring them back to the memories of the camp, because my other grandfather was in the camps and he saw those gates all day alone. He saw people going to the gate and kill themselves because they couldn't handle the pain. And so for him, a gate is like the same thing with the dog. He remembers when the Nazis were sending the dogs to bite him or to kill people. He saw it with his own eyes that the Nazis sending the dogs and a German Shepherd to attack a Jew till death. So from one side, you have the uncomfortability that we have with dogs just because we don't know him. I'm going to walk in a new house with a parrot, and you're not used to it. It's going to be a big one, a big bird. You're also going to be like that.
Yeah.
The same thing with the dogs. But here is going to add another layer of being afraid is because our grandfathers was afraid, and they passed it down to our parents, and our parents passed it down to us. But you can see in this generation, many of them like got used to dogs. And let me tell you a cute story that I had. My sister had this dog, and I decided I'm gonna work on myself to get used to the dog. I read a lot of articles about dogs, how to interact with them. And actually, the dog likes me very much. When I come to my sister, he jumps on me, and I got used to it. I liked very much nature. So here in Staten Island, that we have a lot of trails and woods where to walk in. I like to walk sometimes, like being disconnected from the world. I don't take my phone even. But there was one day I went for a hike, and on the way back, I saw a non-Jewish guy coming across me. Sometimes you can see people walk in the woods, and he's calling a name of somebody. So when he came closer to me, I asked him, "Are you looking for someone?" He said, "I'm looking for my dog. I have a German Shepherd." I unleashed him, and I went on the trail, and suddenly he saw a deer, and he started running after the deer, and he disappeared.
Oh,
and I don't know where
no.
my dog is. So if you see him, let me know. And I heard that.
Oh, no.
I was like afraid, oh my God. So you're saying there is a loose dog, a German Shepherd, not a puppy like my sister had, a big one. And he also told me, when you see him right away, let me know, because sometimes he can be aggressive too. I was like, thank you. I appreciate that. I took a deep breath, and I decided I'm going to look around, like trying to spot him. But, I was starting to build up this being afraid, oh, if I'm going to meet the dog. And then I remember myself, 1 second. Big dog, small dog are the same language. So if you know how to interact with a baby dog, you're going to know how to interact with the German Shepherd. So I'm walking down a hill. Suddenly I see this German Shepherd comes to run down from the hill against me. Oh, I felt like, okay, this is my last minute of my life, but okay, I'm going to work on myself. So right away, I keep on walking against this dog, and I said, hey, come, good boy, come. I knew how to talk to them. And right away, he started to shake his tail, like he's all excited. So I knew this is a sign that he's okay with me. So I said, come. You're looking for your boss, for your daddy? Come to me. Oh, you're such a good boy. And I started, and like, this was the first time in my life, big dog, like tall, like a long, and he's standing near me. Like I said, him, sit down, paw. He gave me his big paws. Like I was trying to work on myself, because they detect when somebody is afraid. So I was trying to calm myself very much. I took out a cigarette just to be calm. And I said, oh, good boy. I right away took his leash. I hold it. And I was keeping petting him. And he right away like touched me back, and I start screaming to the boss, but not in a way to scare him. So I said, Mister, I got your dog. I have your dog. It took me like 5 minutes. The dog is standing near me, licking my hands and opening his big mouth, and seeing it. I was feeling like standing near to a wolf, because the German Shepherd looks like a wolf.
It does, yeah.
It was my nightmare. But I was working on myself from inside, because I knew they can detect your feeling. And the second I'm going to show weakness, he is right away. Maybe he's going to attack if he's a little bit an aggressive dog. So it got more than that. When the boss came to pick him up, he started to run behind me, like I should protect him from the boss. So I said, I asked the boss, why is he running behind me? So he said he knows he's going to get a punishment. So he's asking if you should save him.
He's guilty.
He's guilty. So I'm trying to teach my kids the same thing, because I believe there's no reason to be afraid of dogs, but this is the fact. We are not used to it, and we have this trauma that our grandparents gave us as a present, and it's
they were given it to that. It was given to them. They didn't
given to them in a bad way.
Yeah, they didn't choose it.
But we have nothing against animals. Yeah, there is such a thing like tzar b'lechaim, not to.
It's forbidden to hurt an animal.
It's very, very much forbidden to hurt an animal. And that's the reason why we are not allowed, accordingly to certain rabbis, not to keep any animal at home, because they have to live in their natural habitat.
And I see.
So that's the reason why many Jews doesn't have animals at all at home. Some of them have fish, goldfish, and some of them even have, today it's much more a style. So it's going so far that when I had my magazine Kid Line, we're going to speak about it. It's a Jewish kids magazine. I bought a big reef tank, saltwater fish tank, because I'm very in nature, and I was giving updates every week in the article from the fish tank. So we bought this fish, and this fish died, and this fish was sick, and this fish was fighting with this fish. All the news about this fish tank, it was like a
Wow.
series, like you're gonna see in Netflix, like a show. And in this way, I educated them a lot about fish. And I got suddenly many phone calls from people. My kid needs it. My kid needs. Should I buy? Should I buy? I said, if you're buying something, buy a bunny rabbit or a small animal that doesn't take away a lot of
Space.
money and time. But there is a lot of people that believe you're not allowed to keep an animal because he needs to be in his natural habitat, especially birds. You're rarely gonna see a Orthodox guy having a bird at home because they believe it's the opposite from it's a cursing. That if you're gonna keep at home a bird, you're not letting him fly where he belongs to be, it's gonna be a cursing on your house. And people are very standing. They can have fish, they can have bunny rabbit, they can have chickens, dogs. You're gonna see rarely. More the modern people will have, but birds is like a no-no. But most Jews.
My mother had birds briefly, and she loved them. She grew to be quite attached to them, but she also came to believe that they were it was abusive to have birds as a pet,
Of
even
course.
though their wings were clipped, and which she found very disturbing, and then they grew back in. And she would close all the windows and all the doors, lock all the doors, even though she has like a lot of kids and there needs to be a lot of traffic in the home. She felt so bad about the birds that she would lock everything so the birds can fly around the house freely for a little bit. And she ended up giving away the birds because she believed the birds, it was not humane to have
And
birds.
I will hear in this opportunity say the truth. It's a myth. A lot of people believe that Orthodox people are abusing animals, especially when it comes to slaughtering animals. The answer is it's just the opposite. Of course, there are in every community and everything. Like I said, there is people take it this way, that way. I'm not going to go in, but my father was a lot of years a shochet. A shochet is called
It's kosher slaughter. A
yeah,
kosher slaughter.
in Belgium, and I saw him working. The way he was working, like with all the feeling and respect to the animals, to the cows, to the chickens, and we had pets at home, chickens, and the way he was taking care of them, like for, like very human, and the opposite. And when we was trying to run after chase a chicken when we was kids, he said, "No, it's Abelachim, you're not allowed to do that." And even though about killing animals to be eaten, the way that the Jewish people kill their animals is the least pain for the animal possible because they're cutting through right away the nerves in between the brain and the body. So naturally, it's much less pain than other ways to kill animals. Just saying, this is a fact.
One of the biggest criticisms I see about Orthodox Jews and animals is really about kapores, about the chicken ritual.
Okay. I also don't believe in that. Meaning to say, I believe in this tradition of kapores, but the way many business people using it, it's abuse. Definitely it is. What I do is, and my father did the same, we buy a chicken from a farmer, a normal chicken, and we just turn it around the head, we give him to eat, we treat him nice for a few days, and then we give him over to a shochet. He should slaughter him. But the way they bring this containers with these chickens, this is I don't like it, and I'm not going there. Let's say even in Belgium, where I grew up, the way they treated this kapores was much more nicer and cleaner and
do you think something
better.
is going to change in that regard?
I hope so.
Okay, let's leave it.
There's a lot of people that stop, and they believe also it's Sabbath time. they don't like it, but this is the fact. This is what we're getting. So there is a lot of people stopping using kapores just because they feel it's overdone the way how they treat this animal. Yes, it's going to change. I'm going to add more than that. I was in Curious Joel, where you grew up, and I saw the way they treating the chicken. Let me tell you, it's much better than in Brooklyn.
Really? Why do you think?
The way how they keep it, the way how they take it out from the box. I looked at it much more in a better way. I'm not going to say it can't be better. Sure, it can be better, but it's better than in Brooklyn. Definitely.
That's interesting. I wonder why.